Hey, good evening. Welcome to another edition of The Screen Team. We have got a great show for you this evening. Coming up in here in just a few minutes, we're going to be reviewing the new Kingsman movie, The Golden Circle. We'll also be reviewing the movie The Circle with Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. But first up, we've got a classic, a movie that you probably know. If you don't know, you definitely need to take advantage and watch the movie. Not only is it one of the cinematic classics of all time, it's also one of the movies inducted into the Screen Team Hall of Fame. So you know it's special. We're talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark. And here to help us talk about it is Jake. And Jake, a lot of people out there, I would hope, have seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's a classic. It's been out there since 1981, for crying out loud. But for those who haven't seen it, for those who are like, I don't want nothing to do with it, can we talk a little bit of why Raiders is so good?
It just is. I mean,
it is what it is, right?
It's It was for 1981 anyway. It was kind of we were kind of hitting the post Star Wars world where we're kind of having the movie magic revolution, I guess if you want to call it, that kind of Lucas and Spielberg and everybody kind of coming out of all like the very depressing movies of the early 70s and just realistic gritty sci-fi movies and things like that. A lot more realistic movies. This is a great adventure movie, like if you've ever seen Treasure of Sierra Madre or a lot of the kind of just classic 1930s, 1940s kind of adventure or mystery movies. This is right up that alley. It takes from a lot of those tropes and it kind of modernizing it, and then it brings the Harrison Ford bravado, of course, to the character of Indiana Jones, because I mean you can't have, there's no other character that's Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? No other actor can, I think, portray. I think a lot of it was like, what if Han Solo was an archaeologist? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I was getting ready to ask you that. The original actor they wanted to play Indiana Jones was Tom Selleck, but he couldn't do it because he was doing Magnum P.I. So do you think a lot of the success of this movie is Harrison Ford?
I think that is. I think it's a marginal amount of the success. I don't think it would have gone over as well with Tom Selleck. Not knocking Tom Selleck. Great actor, awesome mustache.
It's true. It's true.
So I'm not going to knock. I think he could have done really well, but I don't think it would have been the same movie. And 1981. I mean, you're just coming off the success of maybe one of. Harrison Ford's big claim to fame is Empire Strikes Back. He that was a very, as far as, I mean, it was a Star Wars movie, space fantasy, whatever you want to call it, but that was probably the most emotionally driven and character driven of the original Star Wars trilogy. So you've got that all the great acting chops that he's put behind him since then, and I think people are just like, okay, this character is going to have swagger. And I'm sure by the trailers, like, this guy carries a bullwhip. Which just,
sign me up, man.
Sign me up. So
he's got a hat on, fedora. He's got the whole shebang.
You've got a great hero, and he's it's not he's not like the perfect hero. He's not the hero that's afraid to taking a life. I mean, he don't care. He'll straight up murder a fool if he's in his way. For him, it's all about the MacGuffin of the movie. You know what I mean? It's all about getting that done, and just so happenstance, if I do this, I just so happen will save the world. So
yeah, you mentioned you've got the perfect hero for this movie, but you also have the perfect villains for this movie as well. He's facing the Nazis.
That's right, and it takes place in 1936, I believe.
Yeah, I think right before World War II.
Right, right before World War II kind of gets into full motion. So you've got Nazis in power, and especially in Northern Africa, where a lot of this is taking place. A lot of the movie takes place. So you've got great villains, and just the perfect kind of creepy, just out for it all. It's like they've got the backing of this major organization, but they're in it for their own their own personal reasons too. So you've got great enemies for the movie too, and you've got the perfect MacGuffin. I mean, the Ark of the Covenant.
I was getting ready to say that. Yeah, you've got that biblical item that you hear about, and you're like, oh, that's just something, but it's real, and it's real in this movie, and they're trying to obviously try to get it for each side, and this movie really gets you from the word go.
Yeah.
It has one of the best opening sequences of any movie of all time. It starts off very slow. They're in the jungle. You see Indiana Jones. He's with a group of kind of shady looking guys, and they're looking for this lost treasure in the jungle. and you've got Harrison Ford, you've got John Williams' score, you got Steven Spielberg doing, there's not a lot of dialogue going on.
Oh no, it's a great cold open, and it's just that they're looking for something because you see him. You don't ever see him. I mean, for the first 5-6 minutes of the movie, you don't ever see our hero's face.
Yeah.
You see him from the side, you see him bullwhip a guy,
right?
You see him pull out a piece of a map and then another piece of a map, and he's trying to which way does it go together, and trying to figure out where they're at, and it's pretty awesome cold open, and then it just kind of ramps up and ramps up and ramps up from there.
A lot of great scenes in this film. Jake, do you have any favorite scenes from Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Yeah. I think my favorite scene is I think they're in Cairo, and they're running through the streets. There's kind of a street chase where Indiana Jones is chasing after Karen Allen's character, who has been kidnapped by the Nazis or agents of the Nazis.
Right.
And I mean, it's just this excellent street chase. It goes on for a while, but doesn't linger for too long, and it's great kind of dynamic of different kind of action. You've got fighting, you got like a street brawl, you've got running through alleys, and you've got
great dialogue.
Great dialogue.
You can't do this to me. I'm an American.
Yeah. It's got a monkey. I mean, it's a great kind of set piece right in the middle, and it's even got a little bit of a car chase scene in there as well. Yeah. But I mean, this movie kind of takes that perfect action or adventure movie trope of we got out of this situation, but now it's so much worse.
Yeah,
and and that's something that the original Star Wars trilogy did so well.
Right,
and Spielberg, I think, kind of played off of that a little bit with this movie. It's just like it's a great kind of globe trotting, because I mean, you have several locations through the world, but the core of the movie kind of takes place in Egypt.
Yeah, kind of has the James Bond feel how it does that. Going to different places around the globe. One of my favorites, I don't know if it's one of my favorite scenes, but definitely one of my favorite soundtracks from the movie is the map room scene, where Indiana Jones is like he's in like almost like this small little cave where it's got a map of that, I don't know if it's Cairo or one of those Egyptian cities or whatever, and he's trying to find where the Ark of the Covenant is, and he's got this gold medallion, and he's trying to figure out how to, he's got to do it at this precise time where the sun comes in and it'll glow and show where the Ark of the Covenant is. And the musical score of that scene really, really amps up that scene to almost classic level.
Yeah, it really carries the scene right there, because I mean, you've got a cool visual effect. There's no room for dialogue or anything, and you really just have one character and this visual effect going on of this map of the city, and the music just comes in and gets real big, and something important's happening.
Right. So if someone hasn't seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, what do you say to them?
I say watch it.
I say it as well, man. It's one of the greatest movies of all time.
And it definitely is. And even like we've said many times before, my wife's not the hugest fan of adventure films. She is more kind of a comedy or horror movie kind of thing. So I think she and Sabrina would probably get along pretty well. And but even she got into this movie, and she's like, it's not something I want to watch all the time, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
If you have somebody that's not quite into that the adventure movie thing, it starts a little slow. So just sit there with them. Just hang out for this first 6-7 minutes, and then it really picks up from there.
There you go. The movie's called Raiders of the Lost Ark. Jake, thank you for being on this review. Appreciate you. We'll be back with another review of the Tom Hanks film. It's called The Circle. We'll get to that next right here on The Screen Team.